If you will, close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you are a 30-year-old woman living in the middle belt of Nigeria. You're married to a pastor and you're pregnant with your third child. You kiss your husband goodbye to go and get a checkup at the clinic. It's going to take you a few days to get there. But while you're gone, your husband is shot dead by Fulani herdsmen. You arrive home just in time for the funeral and see your husband's body lying in the grave, which has already been dug. You have a chance to hug him and to whisper a prayer before the coffin arrives, and then you have to leave. How would you feel? A few weeks later, COVID strikes, and the whole of Nigeria is put into lockdown. You can't go out to earn money to buy food for your two children, and you start to ration your supplies. You turn to your in-laws for help, but they turn their backs on you, and far from helping you, they actually confiscate much of your property. You're encouraged to hear that the government is going to provide some food aid. Great news, good news at last. But when you get to the distribution centre, you're turned away empty-handed because you're a Christian. You're alone. You're heavily pregnant with two little girls to feed, grieving, desperate. But you're still praying and you're still clinging to Jesus. And just after the birth of your third daughter, one of Open Doors' partners arrives and gives you a food package. How would you feel? This is the story of Rose, whose husband Matthew, a pastor, was shot dead by Fulani militants on the 7th of April this year. Nigeria is number 12 on the Open Doors World Watch List of the 50 most dangerous countries to be a Christian. And when she received our packet of rations, Rose said to us, "I had never imagined that I would receive such gifts, but today my faith in Christ has been strengthened." Persecution is an ongoing crisis for 260 million of our Christian brothers and sisters around the world. And for many of them, COVID has made the situation infinitely worse. The persecutors have increased their attacks, knowing that they can do so with impunity. Just after Rose's husband Matthew was killed, we heard further reports of Fulani herdsmen murdering 34 other Christians in nearby villages. And the ability to further discriminate against Christians in the distribution of food aid and protective equipment has put yet another weapon into the hands of those who wish to eradicate Christianity. Ordinarily, Open Doors would provide trauma counselling and livelihood training for widows like Rose, and leadership training and persecution survival training for her husband Matthew, as well as discipleship training for new converts. But during COVID, the church has literally been at danger of starving to death. Many Christians are poor. They earn a daily wage. As Anoni has said, not being able to go out means no work, means no money, means no food. They have no other assets. As a result, church leaders who rely on the weekly tithe have also been at risk of starvation. So we've been focusing on providing the food and basic supplies that the church needs to keep it alive. And the need is just massive, as you've heard from Anoni and Christian. We know in Nigeria, in the Middle Belt and Northern Nigeria, there are at least 9,000 other families who need our support. In India, where we think up to 70% of Christians are Dalits and therefore by definition poor and daily wage earners, we started with the goal of reaching 50,000 people. We have actually reached 100,000 with basic supplies, and we know we need to reach 50,000 more, so that the need is massive and ongoing. Our vision is to see a strong global church defying persecution, standing together and sharing Jesus no matter the cost. As Tricia said earlier, Jesus calls us to be salt and light, and not to let persecution tempt us to hide our light under a bushel or to lose our saltiness. And, you know, this has just been a season when the light of Christ has been needed more than ever. Just to finish with a story from Sri Lanka, Pastor Shiant is one of the pastors our partners work with in the eastern part of Sri Lanka. And his church has experienced a lot of persecution from their devout Hindu neighbours. Just last year, a member of the church, Kumar, was badly beaten by his cousins. And when his wife and 3 of the other women from the church went to help him, they were also badly beaten and pelted with garbage. 7 months later, when COVID struck, Pastor Shiant realized that this was a crisis that would affect many people in the community beyond the church. He knew that many people in the community were daily laborers and would be without money and food. So he asked us and our partners to provide rations so they could reach out to the local community as well. And in fact, Pastor Shiant and his church have supported not just their own brothers and sisters, but also 100 families in the local community, including those who persecuted Kumar last year. As a result of this, Pastor Shiant said to us, "I see a great renewal within the church. Even the local government representative of the village has changed in his attitude towards the Christian community. We're building better relationships with the people now. Thank you so much for your partnership with us."